Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today we're going to be looking at more of Text Talks Battletech, specifically the Amaris Civil War, the second half of the two-part series. This is the fourth time we've jumped into this part, and oh boy, things are, I'd say they're speeding up, but at this point, they've been speeding up, so I think that's just kind of a standard of, if we were going to graph this, it would start at a straight line up, and then it would just keep going. Yeah, I've been told that I am just seeing the beginnings of how crazy Amaris gets. And considering the shit he's already pulled, that is kind of, I'd say telling, but honestly, I don't think it is. I think that's the scary part. It isn't telling. There's going to be a lot more shit coming, and I'm certain we're about to get to it. Either now or soon, because people seem very excited for whatever comes next. And every time people get excited when it comes to Battletech, it usually means it's genocide o'clock. I know that's a meme, but also, considering Amaris is involved, from what I've heard, it's accurate. Yeah. How the hell people call this the calm parts? All the same, you guys know the deal. Link below, original video. Hit it up. It's Tex. You know he's awesome. The entire Black Pants Legion. Ooh, actually said their name right on the first try. Whee. They're pretty damn cool from what I've seen. And yeah, hit them up. Are we done? Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let's just jump right into it.
These space defense systems would figure heavily into Amaris' plan.
It's a little too quiet for me.
His navy suffered heavily in pushing the SLDF out of the hegemony in the initial stages of the coup. The Starling Navy had accounted for itself well, and there were holdouts still hiding in the hegemony, doing much to harass and spy on Amaris' doings from secret locations. I may, if you all are interested.
Going to be completely honest, you can tell right now this is a much older piece of art because smoking in a cockpit. I'm not going to say it's because of the health benefits, because from what I heard, radiation becomes a pill problem. Like literally, you take a pill and it's gone. Technology has advanced to the point in Battletech that medicine is, do you have enough to live? If yes, you're going to be fine. If no, you're probably not a Mechwarrior or someone who's probably going to be the person responsible for more genocide. Not sure if that last part was a joke or not. The reason I think, oh, hey, open flame, in an environment involving a lot of electronics, is that it's kind of like having a taser right next to something. It's just asking for problems, mostly because of the smoke, actually. Not actually the cigarette itself, but because the ash getting into something that maybe it shouldn't have, or the smoke getting into something it maybe shouldn't have. I don't know how wibbly-wobbly some of the, some of the technological aspects would be in the far future. Considering this is Star League, I'm assuming they're pretty robust. But it's usually not a good idea to tempt fate like that. Also, very 80s thing to do.
On the grand old Star League
very 80s. Is that a
we don't
cup
spare
as well?
The details for now, as that would be yet another hour. Let me know. Might be fun, anyways.
I mean, yeah, Star League seems cool.
Worlds under Amaris' thumb were patrolled for the first sight of the SLDF.
Okay, this is actually just what they're doing right here. I can't tell if this is a battle station or this is actually two ships going at differing orbital planes. I kind of think because they're showing this one moving this way, they're moving past it and they're just regular spaceships. Sorry, the reason this one sticks out to me so much is that it's showing something that a lot of the times, a lot of sci-fi doesn't really touch on just because you don't think this way. It's basically having two different ships in reasonable proximity, but on two different orbital planes, specifically different axes in how they're interacting. Now, technically, they're still doing one axis together because they're going orienting this way, but they're also intersecting, and you can see that. I don't think it's an attack run, but I could be mistaken, but it's just really cool to see them saying, okay, we're going to do our flight pan this way, your flight pan goes this way, we're just going to kind of cross. It just, most times in science fiction, when you look at it, everything is treated like the galaxy is flat. Hell, even in Battletech, when they show you the map, it's flat. Now, technically, when they show you better maps, you can see that there's actually a 3D aspect to it and levels, but you don't really get that because it's just easier to get across a flat image on the page, as well as most other mediums that don't involve some kind of 3D projection or just really detailed modeling that most people just don't really bother with. So it's nice to see some of the random, or like, yeah, it looks like the older art even, just acknowledging, yeah, they do work on different axes than just flat plane. That's cool.
Drone ships constantly hunted the hegemony for even the smallest observation craft, making intelligence gathering for the SLDF a precarious venture, if not a lethal operation. As now established, each house, now concerned with many possible futures and not wanting to back a loser, decided to mostly stay out of it.
Yeah.
As such, the war broke down.
And if he
to
loses, they can just
principal
take over the spoils.
antagonists.
Which is what
Side
happened.
A was the forces of Stefan Amaris, leading the occupied Terran hegemony systems, including their now extensively reinforced defenses growing stronger by the day. Further, he was aided by powerful defense industries and the hegemony long established as the primary arms producers of the Inner Sphere.
Oh.
He held these in addition to the ascendant Rimworld's Republic, which he had secretly prepared its industry.
I mean, the industry, yeah, that makes sense. The fact that he's holding the industry in the hegemony so tight, I'm going to be honest, with how he's talked about wanting to just completely, well, lobotomize so much of the hegemony's defense, I'm kind of surprised he didn't import his own industries. I mean, it sounds like he's essentially doing just like taking them over for the honor of Amaris. Honor is a weird word, and it does say, it tastes like ash in my mouth even to say that as a joke. But I was kind of expecting him to really go full salted ground. We've destroyed it. There's nothing. We are literally going to build our own factory on top, and there's going to be hookers and blow. I literally expected that of him. Mostly because he seems to be getting crazier. So this is actually a smart move. Probably going to backfire somehow. Not sure how, but it seems like it will.
Economy and military specifically for this conflict. I won't be vague here. Let's put this into numbers.
What?
Amaris's own
Oh, they actually have the numbers.
Included at least 100 regiments of battle mechs alone. To keep in mind, a single regiment of battle mechs is 150 to 180 fucking mechs plus support divisions. Amaris also had the entire naval...
100 to 150. $150,000 to 100,000 mechs. Damn. Like, full on damn. I'm used to thinking about Battletech and like, okay, a large army is going to be 20 mechs. 100 plus thousand. And that's not even considering all the other spots. Like naval. Oh, actually having naval. Huh. Sorry, there was a conversation on my Discord about how no one really does Navy in the seas or like in any form of sci-fi. And yeah, it's just kind of cool that they actually have naval. Unless they meant space Navy and not water Navy. Probably meant that.
And aerospace assets of a great house many times over. Through his house's careful preparation for the coup,
what was the limit for actual regular
lumps handed
houses?
to him by the SLDF Navy. He maintained a strong grip on the Rimworld's Republic, in addition to all the hidden SLDF weapons stockpiles in the occupied hegemony.
Oh, he had all the
Historical
caches.
notes
Yeah, that makes
show
sense.
us
He
that
was
for
in
decades,
for trading it pretty well.
the SLDF had warned that the Rimworld's Republic was building an army many times over what they were allowed by Star League treaty.
Okay, one, yeah, calling out the fact that they knew this was happening. They were stockpiling just in case. And then he got their stockpiles. You know, there's probably a general out there, if they're still alive, going, yeah, I probably should have put a self-destruct on that. Yep. Yeah. Also, don't you think I didn't catch that? The 301st Golden Corral Field Mess Battalion. Also known as, it's safer if the enemy gets it if we don't.
Warnings that were now far too late. For the record here,
ooh, spaceship.
There is some dispute over the total naval assets of Amaris, but it is said that he possessed over 270 warships prior to the coup, many of which were as good, if not better, than the SLDF fleet.
Does that really say Amaris' pimp barge? God damn it. Still, though, from everything I've heard about warships and just how, well, honestly, broken they are, mechs, like the numbers of mechs, sounds cool. The numbers of warships are the equivalent of 1 wins a war, 100 is overkill, 200 plus. That just. And the fact that he just said they're possibly better than the SLDF. What the hell, man? I'm actually wondering if he lives just long enough to die of old age and then they kind of fall apart. I do not know how this actually ends. It kind of sounds like Texas setting him up to actually win somehow. How?
House armies had 50 to 70 warships at most.
Oh, that's how many they had.
Many of those were not line ships.
Definitely a warship.
Most House navies had a small core flotilla of capital vessels, and then the remainder was split between patrol and support vessels for anti-piracy duties. And as established, the Rimworld's Republic had patiently built a war machine for generations just for this single moment. Every industry and government plan had been laid down on the principle to feed a war-fighting capacity, to challenge the...
Okay, yeah, sorry, I'm just having a moment of absolute geek out right now. I'm comparing to the size of this thing. I've seen them when they're on the plan, they're drawn, and they're massive. Compared to the ship, and it's just a tiny little speck. Not even, it's just there. And then I'm looking at this entire colossal superstructure around it, where there's multiple avenues to get in and dock with it, and there's whole-on docking clamps that are probably bigger than most football stadiums. The size of this space, I guess, dry dock, equivalent dry dock, whatever. If anyone has any art of the Battletech superstructures like this, I would love to find out. Please let me know. Just things like this, when we get into the really big mechs and the really big construction pieces, this right here is just my childhood of geeking over every time you get a cut out of a mech and all the internal structures of a warship. It's just like crack for me. I just love this shit.
The SLDF openly if need be. Hell, Amaris had even built enormous battleships, which were better protected than SLDF's biggest warships.
Oh,
they called them the Amaris class, by the way, because Amaris is, well, don't make me get the bib picture out again. The guy had issues that were only solved by, well,
man-child?
Enormous battleships named after himself, because that's the kind of guy he was, and
he's not compensating for anything.
Okay, we'll do this again. Look, he's wearing a bib. This guy has some problems, and who...
Oh, God. I know they're photoshopping the Golden Corral, but that is actually him with a bib. Yeah. No, it's not even a joke. It's a bib. Oh, God.
Who the fuck is holding his arm? Is that like the general manager for the Golden Corral in Space Kansas? It's not inspiring. If you take someone's head off and brilliantly overcome the greatest defenses yet designed, wear something nice like...
You look like an old geriatric man who just can't understand that the early bird special is not on days where they're closed.
Class him up a bit. I know people are going to go nuts over someone so Machiavellian looking.
Tex only pays me in hot... Wait, what is it saying? This is a horrible idea.
I know people are going to go nuts over.
If anyone can read this, please send me help.
Machiavellian.
Tex only pays me a hot dog.
Just like a goof, but
I haven't seen the sun in like 4 months. 2019. Dude, trust me. If you think 4 months without the sun is a thing, oh, you're gonna have fun with the next 2.5 years.
But just class him up a bit, like 2 notches.
Okay, fine.
Good.
I classed him up. Oh, God. 1, good at it. 2, I hate that this takes him from, I don't know why I'm not allowed to crap on the floor anymore, to, oh, yes, I really enjoy a good pipe after a fine port. Oh, yes. Also, still geriatric old idiot, but rich geriatric old idiot who has enough help that they don't crap on the floor and ask questions about it anymore. Yeah, the smoking jacket and the pipe and the top hat actually help. I have never seen a situation where a top hat helps, and yet this one actually does. How the hell is that a thing?
Better. Anyways, while Amaris had lost significant numbers of his navy to the initial space battles and the hegemony, he was now building new hulls on Star League yards and blueprints.
John Moses
Further,
Browning?
he was rapidly training his men thoroughly on the operation of the now captured SDS networks. Soon all that power would be firmly in his hands. Needless to say, Amaris was sitting on an enormous stockpile of world's weapons and personnel to throw into the fray.
Yeah.
He was...
Okay, I just gotta say right now, every time I've seen tanks in Battletech size, they're large, but they come off as smaller. This is huge for a tank. To give scale, this thing is probably the size of a reasonably sized building. God damn. Like, look at the size comparison. Like, this is big, but believably big, because, you know, things like that exist. The treads fit this thing almost. I don't... For comparison's sake, I don't think there's any tank right now in the world that would be half this size. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous scale tankage. They're literally scaling up to Warhammer-sized tanks at this point. Maybe not the biggest ones, but they're close, which is impressive. And also still more functional. But still. Sorry, I'm just blown away. Like, we're looking at giant mechs in the background that have the entire exaggerated size portfolio based on how far away they are, their height. But I'm being blown away by the tanks because you just don't see anything that actually has a reasonable aspect to it. And here we do. Also, I think that's a person standing right there. I'm going to say no because this guy's right there and he's looks like fueling it up or powering it up. God, those things are huge. I want one.
Growing stronger by the day, he awaited Kerensky's next action.
God, look at those things.
Trying to bait him into
those aren't
attacking
tanks.
the
Those are just
hegemony
walking
directly
artillery
after
platforms.
being bogged down. So let's look at the opposite side of this equation.
Oh?
Side B of this conflict was the SLDF. A huge multinational force which had now been bogged down in years of counterinsurgency fighting in the periphery, worn down by years of hard campaigning
and finding out that everything they fought for just fell off.
Periphery, bloodied and bitter at putting down a needless insurrection, and now devastated at the loss of their friends and comrades in the hegemony. The SLDF was certainly on the back foot from the beginning.
I mean, a lot of armies would fall apart at that
being
point.
Completely cut off from any reinforcement or supply. Losses in the periphery uprising and rebellion, plus hegemony losses in the coup, put total SLDF manpower by 1,255 regiments. I'll say that again as a chill runs down your veteran friend's spine.
Is it a burn mark or an eye?
1,255 regiments. Gone. 30% of the SLDF.
That is comparatively. I mean, I was geeking out and just going crazy about the fact Amaris raised 100 to 150,000 regiments. Sorry, mechs with 100 regiments. I can't speak today. Regiments. And then here we have the acknowledgement that the SLDF, at only a 30% loss, which is still catastrophic, lost 130 full regiments. They lost more, losing less than a third of their army, which is still, I mean, in most campaigns, if you hit 10%, you're looking at catastrophic, like, failure. If you hit 30%, you're going to question what the fuck is wrong. Here, the numbers are so big, you don't even, like, numbers stop being numbers at that point. They're just suggestions. And then they lost more still than Amaris even has. I can see why he was hyper-preparing, because even with his overwhelming skill on the battlefield, the fact that he could win all this, when there's just... They still outnumber him 2-1, and then some, after horrendous losses. Hell, if they just consolidated down to just the people who didn't need rest and relaxation, they could probably still outnumber him. That's... There comes a point when, like I said, numbers don't matter. And this is, I cannot wrap my head around it. I literally cannot conceive of a battle that big. And honestly, the only thing I can think of that even came close is maybe the Mass Effect battle at the end of the third game. And I'm saying maybe because I'm counting starfighters there in place of individual regiments. Yeah, it ain't close. Also, because in 40K, they don't really do space battles that much. Like, they talk about them, but it's never... Yeah, it's never really been the big thing they focus on. They're there, but, yeah. Sorry, just... Numbers, man. That's a lot.
Effective military strength from pre-war levels was now totally gone.
Yep.
History has shown us that armies rarely bounce back from losses such as these, if at all.
Yeah.
The survivors were now hollow men and women haunted by a horrific, senseless war in the periphery, and now many of them were without a home or a government.
Or a paycheck, technically. Also, I know it's not intentional because it's just a aspect that's added in. All the little damage to the picture to show that it went through hell to get to you. But I love how just right here, where you can kind of imagine an eye, it looks like the person is just staring into it. And I'm pretty sure that might be the nose, but honestly, I do not know. I just love the idea that this is the eye just staring into the distance with the head down, going full on Kubrick stare. The Stanley Kubrick stare. Like, it's full on Elmo and Rocco stare levels right now. I just love that. Just the sheer nope. It just really does get home the entire shock of it, which is something I don't think I've ever really seen in Battletech. Usually it's over the top, I murdered you, levels, or, most 80s war art. It's just nice to see someone reflecting on the entire, okay, we're fucked aspect.
Or a cause. The hegemony was occupied, and the status of the First Lord at this point was
assumed
unknown. Some would point out that the SLDF had the numerical advantage here, including far superior numbers and naval assets.
But they're exhausted.
It's worth noting that the SLDF was split into regional commands. In addition, Kerensky was unable to draw upon the additional resources from the great houses he expected, or even in the occupied hegemony. An army this large would soon need massive resupply before any campaign of conquest, and they had no infrastructure other than what they could seize and capture. There was no infrastructure to replace their extensive losses, no recruitment centers, no resupply and logistics train available.
What are they going to rely on?
Great houses were not going to help them. They were on their own. Having an army all the larger than your opponent does no good when supplies run low or out. The SLDF was cut off and in a desperate state the day House Cameron fell. They had lost over 30% of their strength, mauled into combat ineffectiveness in the
so much of everything that happens now with the clans, it's like hearing echoes of later on. I know the clans are supposed to be the big thing about conserving resources for like a really minimal loss of war, but I thought that was more, because they're just in a place with literal shit amounts of resource. So they're just trying to make do with very little. But here it almost sounds like the pathology of not having enough when you need everything and then some started right here, because they're just experiencing nothingness when it comes to resupply, when it comes to resources. It just, hearing this, it's like listening to an echo of the future that just hasn't hit yet. And is it accurate? I don't know, but it goddamn seems like it.
Periphery war. They had lost 1 million men before the coup had even started.
And then
further, with the collapse of the Star League bureaucracy came the near total loss of operational budgets and supply. The SLDF at the start of 2767 had, at best, 10% of its former budget trickling in from tax collectors and administrators still loyal or alive.
There would be actually no paychecks
from here forward. And procurement divisions had no means to buy anything at any price. Things were grim. The SLDF
Did they turn to mercenary work?
Brink.
Or just
Kerensky's forces had fought a needless war. They had learned that their home was gone and their leader replaced by a madman. They had no money, no country, and seemingly no future. Supplies were exhausted. Ships needed refit and overhaul, and spares disappeared.
Going to be completely honest, I thought they were going to go to some full-on civil war after that, but right now it seems more like he's setting up Kerensky as having to make choices that are not palatable for the terms of honor. Basically, the situation Tex is describing isn't unheard of, not just in coups, but for armies of the losing side, where the side they fought for no longer exists. Usually this is not something that happens so much in the more modern World War I styles, because even when an army would fall, usually in a lot, but not all of the conflicts, there's still some place to return home to. Things change, but you're not literally homeless. You're just maybe really freaking depressed and poor and beat to fuck, but you don't actually lack to have a home. Here, no, there is no home anymore. This is something that is the main reason banditry after wars became huge. Because a lot of the times, either the soldiers who were on the losing side, or just as often, the soldiers on the winning side who then got stiffed and not paid. It's a problem in most armies after most battles. Major armies or not, it's just an issue. That some of the people, because they still have the weapons they were using, but no payment and no way to collect or do anything, they'll turn to piracy, banditry, flat-out theft, warlordism, or if they're going to be still pretty, but not nearly as bad, mercenary work. I don't think Kerensky would turn himself to mercenary work right now. So I'm assuming he's about to, how to put it, claim a bunch of resources. I wasn't expecting him to be the one to put into that situation, though. I wonder why. I mean, not even why. I know why, but I wonder how he's going to resolve it. It's more the question.
Morale was accordingly near zero.
The fact that it's not actually zero is impressive.
What the Star League Defense Force had, though, was General Alexander Sergeyevich Kerensky.
Oh, that's what you say.
And angry Russians tend to make it into the history books. Kerensky had purpose and determination. Instead of weighing his options endlessly or sending his troops home, instead of obeying his government, instead of giving up and running away or trying to bargain and buy favor, Kerensky had told the usurper, no, just flatly, no. Amaris had mocked him in reply. Amaris had mocked him and challenged Kerensky to try to attack him. And it would have been suicidal, as the extensive space defense systems in the hegemony were designed to stop massed fleets and invasion.
I would like to point out, while from Amaris' point of view, the fact that he had to succeed to take over only through literal generations of subterfuge and absolute dickish assholery might make him feel secure in the fact that nobody can touch me. On the other hand, you literally just did it, so you know it's possible. Yeah, no. You don't... It's like you're taking a high jump across two different buildings, and you make the jump, which is stupid, but you do it. And then you look back at the three people behind you and go, ha! You can't make this jump. Only I could. I'm exaggerating or underplaying it, but at the same time, you know it's possible because you literally did this within the last year. Ugh. But again, he's arrogant as fuck. And because he probably would never think anyone can do what he did, because again, arrogant, it makes sense why he would do this. But also, it's like kicking a bear that is in no way, shape, or form restrained or nice and kills you because it's hungry, but now is doing it because it actually wants you dead.
Forces. And as said, Amaris had paid the price in conquering them, and yet every moment that Amaris had in the hegemony, he would be digging in and preparing to defend what he had claimed. It was an
got to get a bunch of guys killed.
Scenario to contemplate.
10 of them should probably be able to take a plan.
Kerensky at this point had two choices: to drive into the hegemony immediately, to attack the Rimworld's Republic forces now deeply entrenched and in possession of the space defense systems and all the massive weapons stockpiles the hegemony had.
Oh.
Or Kerensky could go kick the shit out of Amaris' homeland, the Rimworld's Republic.
Yeah! Okay, yeah. I was kind of wondering about that because you have very few options, and, you know, Amaris probably was hoping he would throw himself against it because he doesn't give a fuck about this. He just wanted to take over. He doesn't care if it's in good shape or not. Probably be nicer if it was, but he can just rebuild because he doesn't give a fuck. Like, oh, sure, the people whose lives I don't care about are going to I don't care what the answer is. Oh, no. I'm actually a little amused that I called that. It's like, oh, yeah, he could probably just take the stuff from Amaris' domain because they're kind of there already. And then they did! That really amused. We're only on part 2 of this video. Part 2 of part 2. 40 minutes in. Dear God, text. I can see why people hold this, like the entire Amaris Civil War arcs, as just some of the best things in Battletech, let alone in the Text Talks Battletech stuff, but god damn, there's just so much, and If last time around we saw the beginnings of Amaris losing a bit more of his sanity, becoming hyper paranoid for honestly very good reasons, but still paranoid. Here, we're seeing Kerensky forced to go with two options. We got nothing. We're not getting anything. Well, actually, surprisingly, we are still getting something. 10% of the budget is actually very impressive. I'm not going to lie, that's actually really damn impressive as far as I'm concerned. Now we get to see the fact that he has literally no option, so he's going to bullshit his way into bullshit. Of bullshit. With a side of bullshit. Oh, god damn, I'm going to look forward to seeing this. As you can tell, though, I'm probably going to end this one here. And that was part 4 of the Amaris Civil War Part 2. And yeah, I know the parts on top of parts is confusing as hell. I'm not even going to name these things parts. I just literally put it in so I remember where I'm at, so that I can find where I left off. It helps. It actually does. But more importantly, god damn, it just... If last time around, we were just catching up on what Amaris was doing, which is a lot of what the first video was. Now we're finally getting to Kerensky's actions, and I'm really looking forward to this, considering how much every goddamn person, not just a few, but everyone who I've talked to about Battletech lionizes this man. I really want to see what the hell kind of, well, anything he does. He sounds cool so far, but ultimately has failings that led to a lot of issues, and apparently later ones with the clans. I'm not really sure how. I'm trying to avoid looking into that so far. But it's giant mechs setting up into space battles and numbers and armies and more mechs and spaceships. It's literally just catnip for me right now, and I love it. So I'm having a good time. If you guys haven't, there's a link below to the original video. Hit it up. It's Tex. He's good. Do that. And again, the Black Pants Legion. Ooh, 2 for 2. I've said their name right. This is weird for me. Not the name itself, but just any name at all. Links below. Hit them up. And when you're done, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Adios.